La, 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 la. Hello and welcome to this episode of What You Think. This is where we are going to discuss the sixth and final episode of Loki, season one. A great show, in my view, anyway. As always, you are joined today by me, Momo, Mel, Fezz, and Jang. And as always, we are going to follow the same format. If you've been following along, we're going to start with our negatives, positives, the questions about the future of Loki, wrap up, or whatever we might want to talk about that may come to mind. So, are we ready? As always, let's start off with the negatives. I have no idea what Mel thinks of this episode, so I'm going to start off with her. What did you not like about this episode, Mel?
I guess for me, the revelation of who was, well, heading the TVA, which we can assume now it's Kang the Conqueror because he basically called himself the Conqueror.
Actually, it's he who remains. That's not actually King.
He who remains. Yeah, I felt that was a little anticlimactic. In my opinion, I don't know. It's just because I guess I kind of expected a Thanos looking antagonist to appear in that big door, but it's just a regular sized man. And I really couldn't sense the danger from him. He felt more goofy than dangerous in my opinion. So I just didn't really feel the effect of, wow, this is the guy.
So disagree. Is there anything else you didn't like?
I'm pretty sure there is something. I actually wrote a lot here, but I'll just pitch in after you guys talk a little more.
That's
Yeah.
interesting. I wholeheartedly disagree with you. Like a bazillion times. In the words of Black Panther, you are wrong. You all of you are wrong. To turn your back on the rest of the world. So for me, I literally only wrote one thing for negatives. I wrote ew, kiss.
Oh, yes.
Although I wasn't as disgusted as in The Rise of Skywalker when Kylo Ren and Rey kiss, I actually had a gag reaction to that. Gag reflex, I should say. I went, oh, that's disgusting. This one I was just like, oh no. I just thought that was disgusting, but it didn't ruin the moment. On the whole, I would say I am extremely positive about this episode. I'm going to give this a high score eventually at the end. So I'm going to pass it off to Jang. Give us a negative if you have one.
Okay, my main negative is Sylvie because I don't know why can't she wait? Like she just couldn't wait to kill Kang. She really wanted to kill him, and yeah, I get her character. That's been her goal forever. But it's like Loki was trying to say to her, just wait. We can't get this wrong. Just wait. And then she's just like, okay, let me kill him. So I was just like, why is she like so like that? And also the B-15 story, you know, the one where they went to
Ohio.
Sure. Yeah, they kind of just, it was kind of just there for a while, you know what I mean? They didn't really expand on it. They just left it there. So that was...
I didn't mind that. I thought it was a nice way to wrap things up because with this one, you really want two questions. Can they reform the TVA or are they trying to? And the second question is who's the person behind the curtain? And I think the TVA reformed kind of where everyone knows the truth behind the curtain. It did answer the question, in my view anyway. But I'm going to pass it off to Fezz. Give us a negative. Give us a negative. That's a song.
I feel like my negatives are really nitpicky because generally I really love the episode a lot. One of my negatives is I wish we understood more of Renova's backstory because they showed us that she was a teacher in her past life and that was it. I really wish they expanded on that more. And because it was the last episode, and just generally also, I wish we got to see more of Mobius, like his past, so that we get more depth for him. I really love Mobius, but I just feel like in the whole episode and generally the whole season, his one motive is just to care or like deal with Loki's, which I wish there was more to him than that. But I feel like that will be unraveled in season 2, so I do not mind. Personally, I found the end of credit scene boring. I know it's just the hype for season 2, but I personally wish there was more on the end of credit scene than just an announcement. Okay, personally, I mean, like, because all of us knew and predicted that Kang was going to be the villain. So when I was rewatching it again, I think as a normal audience who is not familiar with the MCU comics and like villains, I think they might be confused when they first appear, because he doesn't really say his name. You just see a guy and he doesn't really explain it until like halfway to the end. I think that will be quite confusing for the general audience who isn't a big fan. And my last point, it's really nitpicky, but I really don't mind. But I wish there was like a massive costume change, because we saw from WandaVision, Wanda had like this massive costume change when she became the Scarlet Witch. In Falcon and Winter Soldier, Sam had his new Captain America costume. So I just wish we had like a costume change from Loki, but I honestly don't mind because it's just nitpicky.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree with not knowing who Kang the Conqueror was, especially for the fans who are just not as deep into the Marvel universe as what Jang and Momo and you guys explained to me about Conqueror beforehand. But yeah, even I was confused as to who he was at first. I was like, this could be Kang the Conqueror, but I'm gonna just listen out until he says something. And even when he said it, it wasn't as explicit as I would have liked it to be. So his identity still remained a little bit mysterious, but I guess that shows that there is an opening for season 2. So that's something to be onto even more in depth then. And yes, Momo, when you mentioned the kiss scene, that was something that I also wrote down. I felt that was so Disney like esque. It's just
yeah,
What's
it
up with
is.
them?
I kind of had a problem with the pacing there, because I mean they were just fighting and saying, hey, Sylvie, calm down, and then oop, it's a kiss, and Kang the Conqueror was just watching them, and I'm like, huh.
I
Well, this
disagree.
is a little, I kind of felt like that took me out of the moment just a tad bit. Yeah,
I disagree. I wholeheartedly disagree.
unfortunately.
I thought the direction in that throne room, let's call it, and not the Star Wars, I thought it was excellent all around. And the kiss took me out of it. I was just like, ugh, it's disgusting. But
Yeah.
Tom Hiddleston, I'm going to get into positives a bit later, but yeah, Tom Hiddleston really just sells it all. But
Yeah.
I'm also going to disagree with Fezz when she said the end credit scene to you. I'll say yes, it was, I guess, a bit unsatisfying. I was like waiting for Spider-Man. I was like, Spider-Man, 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 let's go, let's go. And we didn't get that. But in some ways, it's the most cheekiest thing a Loki show could do. If you understand what I mean, just this stamp Loki will return into it's so in character of Loki to be extremely trollish. But yeah, I guess that about does it for me.
And like Jang, I just had a problem with Sylvie as well. Yeah, I just felt like, girl, can you please just wait a moment? I know your life was stolen, but this involves like universes and like, the entire timeline. Can we just stop and think for a bit? I was really trying hard to empathize with her, but it was just a bit hard. But yeah.
Yeah, I think she was very, like, I agree with all of you guys. I think she was written really one-dimensional, which is that she was always angry. I can understand why, though. I think they wrote her that way so that we can compare. She was trying to basically be like an old Loki, like the Loki we saw the first time, so that we can compare this Sylvie as the old Loki to the new Loki. So I kind of don't mind, but I'm with you guys. I wish she had more depth so that we can care about her more. Yeah.
For sure.
You know what line made me chuckle? I guess we're in a bit of a pickle. What is this?
Yeah.
It talks about, but how British is she? She's supposed to be this Norse mythologic god thing, but she's just incredibly British.
The line that made me chuckle was, "We write our own destiny now."
Yes, same. That made me chuckle too.
A little bit of cheesy moments here and there, but then again, it's not as bad as I'm saying it to be. Yeah.
A quick question that Mel brought up about Kang. Did you guys know it was Kang when they opened the door? The only reason I think I knew was because I knew what the actor looked like when they were announcing the future slate of the Marvel movies.
Personally, no. I knew that they already casted Kang the Conqueror, but I didn't know what he looked like or who the actor's name was. So I was kind of confused at the beginning. But when he slowly explained himself, I'm like, oh yeah, that's Kang. But yeah, that's why I was like, I think the audience might be quite confused when they watch this because they might not know. Yeah.
Completely the same as Fezz, yeah.
I watched it with you, Momo, so you just said Kang, and I was just like, okay, that must be Kang.
It was either Kang, someone unknown, or this theory was floating about, could it be another Loki variant, The Apex Loki. So as soon as that door opened, okay, we got Kang, we did it. now I think it's time. Let's go into the positives. I thought Jonathan Majors as he who remains. So I guess he's not Kang the Conqueror that people expect in the comics. I haven't read a single comic in my life. I have no idea who Kang the Conqueror is. I just know stuff from what I see on Twitter and YouTube, bits and pieces here and there. But oh my god, I am so excited to see other variations of him, the more villainous one. But I love this variant that we got of him. I wrote down here electric, scene stealing, and there was this depth to him, this gravitas, if you will, where you really feel the weight of the timeline, the multiverse, the universe is at hand. And the direction, especially in the throne room scene when Sylvie and Loki were fighting, oh, the combination of, I think it would have been better with a lightsaber. That would have been nice. But knives are pretty good. No, because the thing is, knives just have no color. They just click, click, click. So I'm happy they incorporated some of that green magic. But that the tension there of will Loki turn? Is he change? And I'm happy to report our Loki has changed, I guess, for the better. And oh my god, can Tom Hiddleston act?
Yeah.
He act?
Yeah.
Oh my God,
And
yes.
I guess the best thing about him is he's from a theater background and he really has to sustain himself for those long takes. So the direction, the choice of, making sure the camera just stays on him as he just performs the last scene where he's just full of hurt. But then, he gets his shit together and decides to, do the right thing, become a hero. I love that a Loki is responsible for literally tearing the multiverse apart. It is so in character that a Loki, the god or goddess of mischief, is responsible for the whole madness that's about to come. This Loki is responsible for Thanos, Earth dying, the Avengers crippling, if you think about it, that domino effect, him landing in New York brought Thanos to New York, and now our Loki is about to cause, or the Lokis are about to cause a huge mess. Delicious, I thought. And the last thing is, I love that this was set up for the future of the MCU
Agreed.
and season 2 without feeling like setup. I've always gone on about, I hate when things are just like, I'm back for the sequel. I think Mel has been on the receiving end of this stick for like however long we've known each other, just me bitching about how much I hate the young adult movies in particular, like Divergent, Maze Runner, because they're always like, come back for sequel.
Yeah.
Over here, I feel like you do get that complete package. Loki's journey of self, our Loki's journey of self acceptance, realization, Sylvie achieving what she wanted, and I'm so excited to see how that what it does to a person, realizing that everything you wanted to achieve up to a point, and you've achieved it. What it does to you once you realize it was never the answer. I think that was interesting. All we needed to know, I think, for our season finale was who was behind the TVA, and we got that answer. And more importantly, why. I thought the answers to that were extremely satisfying. Whatever happens next doesn't matter for the journey we've been on for the 6 episodes. So yeah, I think I've just hopped on for a long, long time. I'm gonna pass it to Jang. What did you, Mr. Jang, absolutely love about this episode?
It's really similar to you. I really love Kang. And I like how they gave us Kang without giving us Kang, because that's not the right Kang. That's like another Kang. So I was like, okay, you gave us Kang, but you kind of didn't. So I was like, okay, cool. And of course, Loki was amazing. Like the fight scene, like they were using the Force. It looked like they were using the Force with the magic. So I was just like, okay, cool, you got the Force. Yeah, that was good. Oh, the CGI was very crispy.
I agree.
It was very, very crispy.
Crispy.
Yeah.
It's a bit
Yeah.
crunchy.
It's a bit crunchy, but yeah, the CGI was very good. I really like that line that Kang said, the journey set up the correct mindset. He said that. And that was like really deep. I was just like, oh damn. Really, I just like Kang. He went from like really scary and then really funny and then really like emotion. Like
He is a
I feel
human
like-
after all. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. He, after all that, like the explanation said that he's still a human from the 31st century. But he's more OP than like Thanos and the Infinity Gauntlet. Like the Infinity Gauntlet is nothing to him. So I was just like, oh shit, it's just a guy that is OP. So I was like, yeah, so I really like Kang, and especially during the fight scene, and he was just chilling there. He was just like, and then when they kiss, he was just there like, oh.
Yeah. It's like, well,
So-
I set this up.
He was.
Yeah.
Did he set that up? I don't think so. He was excited because that was the first time in his life, or
No,
in eons, I should say, that he did not know what was going to happen next.
Yeah, he probably felt like a
Aye.
subtle matchmaker or something. Like, oh well, brought these two together somehow.
So much
Yeah.
charisma, yeah.
Yeah, and how
Mm.
he did the whole explanation, but without making it confusing and boring. You know, sometimes
Visual
it's just a
aids.
really but he was there
yeah.
like talking about this, and then he was
Mm.
yeah. So it was I really like Kang. Kang was amazing.
Oh man.
yeah, that was so weird.
Yeah.
No.
When he did that, it actually matched the key of the soundtrack that was playing in the background. So I thought that was
Right?
incredibly funny. Yeah. Okay, as
Okay.
much as I did, as much as I said that it was a little anticlimactic when you revealed Kang, I think it's because I was so used to seeing actual like evil looking people, and this was just a regular looking man, and I think that really added on to the eeriness that he had throughout the entire scene. Because as the scene progressed, I remember thinking, well, he doesn't seem as intimidating as I thought he would have, but the way he acted, it was aloof, really regular human being, but he had so much power, and there was that unpredictability to him that made me feel like, wow, okay, this man is dangerous. It actually felt really scary, and that was really good because it was a refreshing kind of scary, not something that was directly rubbing in your face like Thanos, huge snappy finger guy, but this was just like a
Snappy
man
man.
that could really change your life and change your universe, because that's what he essentially is. So I really enjoyed that. And I just really love the setup for his character in general, because I am not a comic reader. I've, like Momo, have never read a comic in my entire life besides Archie comics when I was a kid. But I felt that the whole concept of Kang the Conqueror having various variants that will come in and cause a war, they're war hungry. I love that. And the fact that Loki is really, really, really worried about this shows that it's something that we should be worried about, because I don't think we've really seen Loki as scared.
Any
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, he's scared when he sees the Hulk, but I mean, he's not that scared, you know? So that really sets up a really interesting premise for season 2, and I'm really excited to see just how dangerous Kang the Conqueror can be, because I'm really expecting a lot from his character, from his variants, and the possibilities of what could happen next.
I'll just say you
And
sound a lot like
yeah.
Sylvie when you were like when I just saw a man, I wasn't intimidated or scared. You just sound like Sylvie, and I think they knew as well. Am I a disappointment? Nah, you're just easier to kill. Hey, British.
Yeah, you're just easier to kill. Yeah,
When you're a bit of a
and
pickle, that line is so funny.
it
A bit of
was,
a-
yeah.
It's like the entire universe is at stake. A power vacuum of all power vacuums is about to take place, and she's just like, it's a bit of a pickle,
For
eh?
sure.
What are we going to do about it?
Yeah.
Should we discuss it over tea?
And I'm just really happy with the way how they really progressed Loki's character. This is a whole different side of Loki that we've seen. So, you know, coming straight from 2012 to the first episode of this show, all the way to the sixth episode, I felt like the
2011.
growth that, yes, I felt like the growth that Loki went through felt incredibly natural. Like, it didn't really feel weird that suddenly he's all like, he said a line to Sylvie. He said, I don't care about the throne or something like that. I just care that you're okay. And that, you know, to me is something that Loki would have never really said aloud before. But I actually didn't feel weirded out by that, because I just felt that his growth was so natural that this was something that I actually expected for him to say at this point. And I thought that the pacing of the show overall with his character specifically was really well done and executed. And I mean, to be frank, he does lose almost everyone he cares about. And this is possibly the first time we really see him go to the ends to save someone he openly admits he cares for. I mean, he did get stabbed or, you know, essentially killed for his brother Thor. But, well, I mean, he kind of manipulated him. He wasn't actually dead. But he really put himself on the stakes for Sylvie this time. No manipulation, no tricks, just Loki and his pure feelings for possibly the first time. And I really like that.
Now, how about you, Fezz? Last but not least, what did you actually love about this episode?
I definitely have to agree with Mel. For me, the highlight of the episode has to be Loki's character development. And for me, that really shined in the scene where he was fighting with Sylvie. Even from the dialogue during the scene, we can see like how much Loki has grown. And he realized that he doesn't need all this ego stuff, and just caring about others is good enough, and he's more understanding. And generally Loki from this episode is very composed. If you compare Loki in episode 6 to Sylvie is very, very reactive and like he's just so angry, while Loki is calm and he's composed. So I really like that a lot. And transitioning to my next point, which is the acting. I think the acting in this episode was really, really strong. I have to give a shout out again to Tom Hiddleston. His acting was so good, especially in his eyes and his facial expression. And I really want to point out in this episode that his voice in this was really, really good, especially in the fight scene when his voice was trembling, you know, like the sense of hurt and sadness and betrayal, especially that scene when Sylvie's like, kill me. And he's like, no, like I never heard Tom Hiddleston like express his voice like that. And he deserves an Emmy for this. If he doesn't get an Emmy nomination, I'm going to be pissed. But
I'm just laughing thinking of Don Cheadle again.
Oh god. Also the acting from Renova, I don't know how her name is pronounced.
GOOOO.
Yeah, she did an amazing job, especially at that scene where she was having that big argument with Mobius about how she gave up everything and the way she shouted. It was just, I could feel her sense of like hurt and frustration from both the TVA and Mobius, because we don't like, she wants to find out answers and she's hurt from Mobius. And I think also Kang did a really good job. Jonathan Majors, he did a really good job in playing like a very expressive villain, because most superhero villains we've seen, they're really just like monotone and like depressed and angry. He was very expressive and they didn't make him really serious, which I love.
It's really refreshing.
Yeah, I agree. The CGI, like what Jang said, is really good. I think it's the finest and the best from Marvel which I've ever seen. I really love the colors also from the galaxy and the architecture. I thought it was really, really good. My last point is the writing. I feel like the world building and even the way the dialogue is written, I thought it was really good. It was really interesting. There was a lot of talking in this episode, but they did it in a really intense way, as well as an interesting and easy way, so that we, the audience, can understand and absorb everything. And yeah, the writers did a really good job. The writers for this episode were from episode 1, Michael Walcom, and episode 4, Eric Martins. Oh, sorry. Is it Waldron?
Oh, so they both Waldron.
Yeah, they both wrote the last.
So they both wrote this episode. I see.
Yeah,
interesting.
So they did a really good job in building it. Yeah, and I felt like the score complemented all the intense moments, which I really like. Yeah, that's my positives.
Yeah, something that Fezz, you mentioned earlier about how Sylvie was really written one-dimensionally for this episode specifically, and how it looked like Loki was facing his past self, especially with Tom's performance. The way how he seemed incredibly vulnerable and really, really open with his emotions really showed as if he's confronting his past self when he said, I've been there before. I know what you're feeling. Trust me. I just do. I thought that was really, really good. That was something that I should have pointed out earlier when they highlighted his growth as a character. I love that so much. And oh yeah, Renslayer, her conversation with Mobius. Well, I mean, it really changed my perception of her a little bit, because essentially I thought that she was just this bad guy that was working for the TVA, etc. But it really showed that she was just brainwashed in that sense. And just, you know, she lost, like everyone else in the TVA, they're just trying to find their glorious purpose, so as to quote that. And I think Renslayer is just finding it a little hard to really just admit that there is something wrong with the TVA and it does need reformation and we need to do something about it. She's just going on that straight line, that path that she thought that was set right from the beginning, and she's refusing to branch off to a different path. You see the puns I'm trying to make here? Oh my God. But yeah, I just felt really bad for her essentially. But the way that she refused to prune Mobius showed that there was still that bond there. She genuinely actually thought that he was her friend and that they had an actual relationship together, rather than just
me.
Yeah, you betrayed me. I felt that. That was really good acting from her as well. Oh, and the intro, I loved how it was of the Marvel thing instead this time around.
And every time the person in the logo came up, you could hear their voice. That was a nice touch.
Exactly.
And for some reason, Greta Thunberg is in the canon in the episode. Cool.
Yeah,
Interesting.
but I really like that because not only was it fitting for episode 6 of the final episode for season 1 of Loki, but because we just had Black Widow released the movie, right? And it just really reminds you, wow, this is like we're really in a huge franchise. Like this is a huge universe, and it's like a nice reminder of that, I guess. A really grand finale to this season.
Yeah, I just wanted to say with Sylvie, it's really what Fez said. It's like, oh my, she just can't listen. Kang will be explaining something and then she'll just be like, "You lying, bro. What
We need-
what do you
we
want
need
him to
Thor, I
say?"
think.
And then like he said like, "Oh, I created the TVA to bring order," and it's just like, "You are enslaving innocent people." And I'm just like, if you're so smart, how else do you want to do this? So
And I
she's
think I
really
love
just
that, yeah.
closed off. Yeah, she just
When Kang even got triggered, grow up, Sylvie. I was like, that point, he was actually annoyed. He was like, oh my God, calm down. This is bigger than you taking you away. We had to take you away from a child so to prevent another multiversal war. And I love that was the only moment that Kang kind of got triggered. But to go further on Jang's point, we need Thor. Remember that scene in Ragnarok where Thor goes, Hulk, for once in your life, can you just listen? So yeah, we need Thor in Loki. So that's definitely one thing as well.
That's why I like when Kang shouted at her, because I was like, just listen.
I just want to add before we go to the next transition of theories, because when I was just rewatching the episode again, I like Kang loves episode 3 more than we did because he just keeps mentioning
Lamentis.
Lamentis over and over again. So it shows that someone loves season 3. I'm sorry,
Oh,
someone
yeah.
loves episode 3 more than us.
I really like when I ask you all questions. So I have about 2 key questions, okay? And I'm going to pass it to every one of you. Are you guys ready for
No.
these questions that you have no idea what they're about?
Yeah.
So
Like
my
a
first
pop
question is,
quiz.
a report has just come out that said that Loki will appear in Doctor Strange 2, but there's no confirmation from Marvel yet. So let's just go across the board. This simple yes or no. I think yes, but I would give it under 40% because Doctor Strange 2, from what I gather, seems to be really stuffed, especially with Wanda. So I don't see there being space for him, but who knows? So I'm going to pass it to Fez first.
There is a possibility, but it might not happen. I think for me, I'm going to give it like a 20%. I would be
That's
happy.
low.
Yeah, I'll be happy, but
Mm.
I agree with you. I don't think it will happen because, like what you said, like they are already setting up so much from in the second Doctor Strange with WandaVision, and also especially when Doctor Strange is also going to be in the third Spider-Man, so
Mm.
they probably have to deal with the events from the third Spider-Man. And I think bringing in Loki might be slightly too distracting, and I think also bringing in Loki might be distracting from the main character Doctor Strange. I would like Loki to be in it though, but I would say have low expectations because
It's
no
too stuffed.
expectations.
Mm.
Yeah.
How about you, Jang? What's your percentage?
Exactly the same as Fez. Yeah, it's
20. Wow.
about 20%. But I think if they do, it's probably gonna be like
Short.
Doctor Strange is
Mm.
teleporting somewhere and then just like, oh, Loki, and then they just go, they just keep going.
Oh.
Yes. Strange. Wait, they never met. They haven't met each other yet, right? Oh, yeah,
No,
true.
no,
Never mind.
they did. I would agree with Jang. Like they might do like a Thor Ragnarok where Doctor Strange will only have like five
They could
minutes.
do, yeah.
So they might do it for Loki. So that's what I
Right.
think. Yeah.
Because when you were talking about multiverse of madness, multiversal war, right? So
Mhm.
I would. That's why I say 40%. I think he shows up at least for 5 minutes just to go. Okay, we had Doctor Strange, Dora Mamu. So I'm just quickly going to tell you the multiverse is in chaos because of Kang, Ant-Man, blah blah. So something really short. How about you, Mel? What do you think? Will you find happiness when you see
I'm gonna
Benedict
fangirl
Benny
so much.
and Tom Hiddleston?
I think there's a possibility, but like you guys, I think it's pretty low as well. Probably about a 30% probability for me. I think a lot of fans are very hungry to see Benedict Cumberbatch and Tom Hiddleston interact a bit more on the big screen. I am definitely one of them, especially when we did see them interact in one of the Thor movies, but just for
Ragnarok,
like
the
a
last one,
little
right?
bit.
Listen here, you half-rate wizard. Okay, bye.
That was
See you.
enough to make my entire year. So I would love if that would happen, but I feel like this exactly the same things like what you guys just mentioned. It will be really stuffed. I feel like a lot of things that Loki has to face will probably be solved next season. So the chances of his character coming back to play a big role in future Marvel movies, etc., might be low. I think there might be a mention or a short cameo. I mean, Sif did come back for a short cameo this show, so nothing is impossible, especially
Speaking
since a
of
lot of people love Loki. But having like more than 10 minutes screen time, probably not. But I hope he will appear for more.
Okay, so all of us think it's a 20 to 40% chance that Loki shows up in Doctor Strange 2. Although the fates have reported on it, we shall see. Okay, the next question I have for you guys, will we wrap up the TVA fixing the timelines, the multiversal war, in Loki season 2 or in another property? So my guesses are probably Ant-Man maybe. So I'm going to pass it to Mel first. Do you think Loki is going to all be about the TVA, or are we going to see the wrap up in another story?
I feel like we might see something that's close to a wrap up, but there'll be remnants of the issue that would be then solved in another movie or show or something.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I feel. I mean, they could wrap it up as well, but I just think it would be cool if, because you can kind of link it to another character or another universe, and that would be even cooler because that seems like a really Marvel thing to do.
I'm just thinking about it now. Like personally, I really want like the TVA to be just in season 2 and just in the show of Loki. But when I'm thinking about it now, how are they gonna bring what happened to Loki in the other movies? For me personally, everything should be answered in the TV show because it was built there and it was mentioned so many times. If they want to introduce the multiverse madness in like a movie, they'll have to explain everything and again from the start of the TVA. So I don't know how they're going to do that. I don't know if it'll be well executed, but I think that it should stick with
to the show.
Loki. But I think they're going to, like what Mel said, they're going to probably introduce it in another movie. But I'm just thinking about it now. Like, I don't know how they're going to do that because it's very complicated as we all watch from Loki. So yeah, I'm not sure.
How about you, Jang? What do you think?
No, like actually, no, like it. No, you threw me off already. No, but they definitely will keep the multiverse, I think, because it just opens up so many possibilities, and they can make thousands of shows. They can do so many things because there's infinite possibilities. But it's just like Fezz said, it's gonna get complicated. If you guys have seen like the Flash and Arrow,
No.
it's a
Yeah.
DC
Never.
TV show. They started doing the multiverse there too, but then by like season 5 or 6, it's so complicated. I have no idea what's going on. Even though I watch it properly, I have no idea what's going on. If they can do it properly, okay, but it's very easy for it to get out of hand and too complicated, and then everyone's just confused. Yeah.
I just want to add to Jang's point because Jang mentioned throughout the podcast, which I agree a lot, that so far the Marvel TV shows, you don't have to watch them, so that when you watch the future MCU movies, the MCU TV shows just like add more depth, but it doesn't seriously affect the plot line. Thinking about Jang's point that he mentioned a lot, I'm just thinking also like, yeah, because this show is going to affect the rest of phase 4. How are they going to bring that in to educate the audience who haven't watched Loki what is happening? Because if you haven't watched WandaVision or Falcon, is fine, like what Jang said, but if you haven't watched Loki, I feel like that's going to be a big problem for like the mass audience who have not watched Loki. Yeah,
I wholeheartedly disagree with you. I think in Infinity War, they set it up perfectly. The whole universe, there were 6 Infinity Stones or something like that. The Big Bang. That's all you need to know. Time, space, blah, blah, blah. That Wong exposition in the first 5 minutes. That's fine. If you had watched Guardians of the Galaxy, you would have been like, this is what the collector was talking about. I know, I'm smart. But if you just came and watched the Infinity War, you're fine. You're like, okay, big stones end the universe. Boom. That's all you need to know. The other thing I want to just bring in, there are two things you can trust in the movie world: Kevin Feige and Pixar. So what I'm trying to say is, Kevin Feige has never let us down in the sense that you place your full trust in Kevin Feige and whatever he's doing, whether it be overcomplicated. All these fears, I think, are unwarranted based on his track record. It'll be fine. The same goes for Pixar. Every time I watch a Pixar movie, besides The Good Dinosaur, I'm always like,
Cars 2.
Yeah, that's fine. I like Cars too. I like the wasabi scene. Wow. But what I'm trying to say is, yeah, with this is just a sidetrack, but you guys have seen the Turning Red trailer, right?
Yes, I have.
That's the thing. It's the same thing with Luca. I remember I was not excited for Luca at all because I was like, so what? Guy goes to see Little Mermaid, meh. But then you actually see the movie and it's about so much more. Same thing with
Yeah.
Coco. What? So kid plays guitar, but there's so much more. I'm pretty sure there's going to be more with Turning Red besides girl gets excited, turns red. There's going to be something more. So yeah, I say you all are scared about overcomplicated. Calm down. Kevin Feige, in Feige we trust, in Nolan we there's three people, in Feige, in Nolan, and in Pixar. So yeah.
I think also maybe they could have expected that most of the demographics of Marvel fans would be heavily anticipating the Loki show anyway. I mean, you remember when we had Tom Hiddleston really dominating Comic-Con? Was it Comic-Con? I can't remember
Yeah,
that one
Comic-Con.
scene of him in the hall going like, bow down, blah, blah, blah. And, everyone was
2012, I
so
believe.
hyped for that. Yeah. And I think there was even a petition going around to ask Loki to have his own show, etc.
Hey.
So if
Okay.
if they would want to cross this world over with anything else that Marvel would have done, I felt like they figured that it would be best to do it with Loki because I feel like a lot of eyes will go to Loki anyway. I mean, we have WandaVision, etc. as well, and obviously they are very popular characters, but maybe I would say Loki has a bit of an edge compared to that. Feel free to disagree with me as well, but it's just from my own observation. Anyway.
I'm just laughing because when you said it's a petition, I was like, what? So I found this petition. It's called Free Loki. It has 65,000 supporters.
Oh no.
We
wow.
respectfully yet strongly request Marvel put into action a full-length feature film production based on the Marvel character Loki portrayed by Tom Hiddleston. What the hell is this? Congrats, I guess you got your wish. You got a 4-hour movie.
You
Good for you
do.
guys.
Yeah.
So the next question I have is, so now the MCU, we've all seen Black Widow. Some of us haven't seen WandaVision or Captain America and Winter Soldier. Looking at you, Mel. So there's
I
what we
saw
can see-
Captain America Winter Soldier. It was your
No,
birthday.
you saw
not
Captain America, the Winter Soldier. You did not watch
Oh.
Captain America and the Winter Soldier. The
No,
title is
Falcon
very
and
Winter-
The
confusing.
Falcon and Winter.
Yeah,
No,
she
no, no,
doesn't
no, no, no.
know.
You
No, she
know the
doesn't-
ending.
No, but she
It-
doesn't know that it was called. It's called Falcon and Winter Soldier. She doesn't
Yeah.
know that.
You
It
snooze,
was-
you
I heard-
lose.
I heard Captain America Winter Soldier.
Yeah, I did.
No, so he's Captain America now, right? Yeah. So anyway,
Spoiling it.
we
Thanks
know
for spoiling it.
Oh, good.
that's-
I'll watch
That
it.
is the beauty of Falcon and Winter Soldier. By the end of Endgame, you know he's Captain America. He takes up the shield, so he literally just goes
Yeah,
in a
yeah.
roundabout
Oh,
way
yeah.
of
Yeah,
becoming
yeah,
Captain
yeah.
America again.
Sure,
But
sure, yeah.
there's a lot more nuance than that. But that's beside
Yeah.
the point. The point I'm trying to make is with the MCU, usually we have one thing leading up to something big, right? But now it seems there's two storylines running parallel.
Mm.
I wrote this down. We call this Spy Gang. We have Black Widow and Falcon and Winter Soldier. So we've seen the character of Valentina, blah blah blah. So we have this storyline about Hawkeye, Yelena, and all that good stuff. So that's the first storyline. The second one that we have is I wrote down Multiverse Space Madness. So now we know that Spider-Man's going to deal with the multiverse. Tobey Maguire is probably in the movie. If he's not, I'll be very sad. We have Ant-Man, Quantumania, which we know has Kang the Conqueror, and we have Doctor Strange Man, called the Multiverse of Madness. So we have Spy Gang, Multiverse Gang, and I'm going to leave this option for something else, okay? Like another storyline completely or unrelated, parallel storyline. So I'm going to run down all the Marvel movies that's going to come out, and I want all of you to give your answers. Is it part of Spy Gang, Multiverse Gang, or something else? You guys ready?
I love this game. Let's do
I'm
this.
gonna,
Oh,
I'm
God.
gonna start off with Jang first. So Shang-Chi, what do you think? Spy Gang, Multiverse Gang, or something else?
Not really anything. I think it's just an isolated movie just to explain him only.
Mhm.
It's
Something
maybe
else.
later he'll be connected lah, but I don't think he'll be connected. Like in that movie, it's just about him lah. I don't think he'll be.
Anyone else have any objections to that? No?
I,
All
I
good?
agree with Jan completely. Yeah.
I agree with Jang as well.
The next one I think is going to be quite interesting. Eternals.
Oh my god.
What do you guys think? Definitely not Spy
Okay.
Gang. They're not going to come out, of their hiding because, I don't know, Hawkeye's about to die. But
Oh
yeah, what do you guys think? Something else or Multiverse Gang? I'm going to give it to Fezz.
I'm just thinking about just generally Eternals. I don't think it can be multiverse. I think it could be something else. I think they're going to do another round of world building.
Another store, another isolate. Okay.
Another. It makes sense that they do another round of world building. Maybe this world building that Eternals will show us in November, maybe that could relate maybe slightly to the multiverse. But I think so far, I think it's just a world building for
Anyone
a different
agree
world.
or disagree?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
About that as well. I feel like it would have some sort of connection to like multiverse, but
Right.
Because
Yeah.
the trailer started off with we've hidden all these years until
Yeah.
now. What else? I was thinking multiverse, right? So that's why I thought it was interesting. So Spider-Man, we already pretty much are sure that it's about the multiverse. So Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, everyone agrees it's probably multiverse gang. I thought this could be interesting.
I just want to add, I really, really want the 3 Spider-Mans, Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire, and Tom Holland. I would really love to see the reaction.
That would be so good.
It is possible because when Kang said in Loki episode 6 that he met other variants and then he fought with other variants, that brings the possibility of bringing different Peter Parkers. But I feel I feel like we should have no expectations because the rumors of this have skyrocketed. It's kind of crazy how it's going with Andrew Garfield denying it all the time. We don't know who's right or wrong. We should have no expectations.
I disagree.
Because we don't want to be disappointed. Like, in WandaVision, there was this like big hype for a cameo, which ended up being a disappointment or a joke. So there was like so much hype. As much as like Spider-Man, I'm just thinking like we should just have no expectations and see how it goes.
No
I
expectations.
disagree. No, because we can say for a fact we know that Alfred Molina, Doc Ock from Spider-Man 2, is in Spider-Man 3. That's confirmed. He admitted to it live on screen. Oh
Jamie
yeah,
Foxx
that
is
guy.
also in. Is he really playing Electro? Or is he playing
But he's
somebody
gonna be
else?
yellow apparently or something. Oh god.
Oh.
I don't like that Electro. My birthday. I'm the light my candles.
I enjoy Electro. I really liked his soundtrack. Like that used to scare me a lot as a kid. Yeah, I was so scared.
I don't like that movie. But I'm pretty sure we're gonna see that. Anything less would be a disappointment. So Mel, I'm gonna pass it to you. How about Thor, Love and Thunder? Will that be isolated or part of the multiverse gang? What do you think? Or Spy Gang? Thor's gonna come save Hawkeye. Oh, Yelena.
Oh my god.
Your guns are no match for my hammer.
I don't know. Why do I feel like it's gonna be something that's isolated?
I agree, yeah. And I think Thor 3 is gonna lead into Guardians of the Galaxy 3. And the other 2 movies, anyone can chime in here, Black Panther and the Marvels. I think Black Panther 2 is gonna be very much isolated.
Yeah, I feel that too.
I think for Marvels, because I'm not sure if you guys read this online, that Miss Marvel could lead to like, I guess, the Young Avengers. If you guys have seen online, they noticed the casting for like the kids Avengers. So we've seen from WandaVision, Wanda's kids,
Kid
Loki, but Kid Loki, and they already casted Miss Marvel and even Haley Steinfeld as female Hawkeye. So Miss Marvel could lead to another setup to the Young Avengers, but again, Young Avengers is not confirmed, so I'm not sure, but that could be a possibility. Yeah.
That about wraps up what we think about the future of Loki. Now let's return back to the show. We're done with the show. We've finished season 1. We've seen 6 episodes of it. So I think this is going to be very interesting. What has been the best episode of Loki? I'm going to start us off with this one. I think this was the best episode. I thought the direction, the writing, the score, the acting, everything was just firing on all cylinders. It was incredibly and immensely satisfying. And as it closes one door, it opens a lot of others. It felt like an event almost, this one. Like a great roller coaster ride, rock concert-ish. Yeah, I just love this episode. And for that, I'd give this episode a 10 out of 10. So how about you, Jang? What do you think? What was the best? We don't even have to say what was the worst episode of Loki. So that's why we're just going straight into what was the best episode of Loki. What do you think, Jang?
Yeah,
Episode
like
3.
Right? It's so obvious.
Yeah, no, yeah, I think this episode is the best episode. I think I'm giving it a 9 or 9.5. Pretty high. The only one that's got 10 is Endgame. So like I really, really love Kang and all the explanation. The action didn't even need to be big. It was
Personal.
meaningful.
It's very personal.
Yeah.
Yes, meaningful. That's a
Mhm.
good way to put it. I think Mel was the most negative. Yes, I'm gonna give it to her first. What has been the best episode of Loki?
I don't want to say that like the final episode was disappointing to me. I would still give it a high score, like a 7.5 or an 8. I loved it. Like Jang said, I really loved the way they explained everything, especially with Kang the Conqueror. He did everything so precisely, and it's even if it's such a complex concept, but I really did enjoy it. I think that it was the best like final episode we could have gotten from Loki. But I'm a very emotional person and I derive off emotions, which is why I feel as if episode 5 would be my favorite.
Ooh, interesting.
Ooh.
Because
Yeah.
everything that I've discussed earlier in the previous episode, the fact that we had so many characters bringing in different forms of emotions to the table, and it was so well done. And I felt like they explored the soundtrack a bit more in episode 5, whereas for the final episode I felt like they went back to the standard ones that we hear all the time in episode 1. So I didn't really get that big finale feeling from the soundtrack, in my opinion, because episode 5 did so well. I thought that they would have picked it up a little bit more in episode 6, but it's all good. I'm not complaining. It wasn't something that really affected my feelings with this episode per se, but yeah, episode 5 for me would be the best.
How about you, Fez?
I'm very stuck between this episode and episode 4. I really like for me, I like this episode because of mainly Loki's character development and just the acting is really good. But at the same time, I really like episode 4 too, because I feel like with episode 4, you get more character depths from everyone, from Mobius to Hunter B15 to Loki to Sylvie. So I was kind of more satisfied with that, but I equally love episode 6 and 4. I can't choose between those two. Yeah.
I'm just gonna quickly chime in again. I think we're not giving enough credit to episode 1. I thought episode 1 was it would probably be my runner-up. I think 6-1 because
Same.
the world building in that was just excellent, and
Yep.
the scene where Loki is just looking back or looking forward to his future. It tells you immediately what kind of show this is going to be. The dynamic with Owen Wilson, extremely strong in episodes 1 and 2. Just the introduction to the TVA. And it was a funny thing. Technically, we all were like, oh, TVA is bad. But it depends on where you stand on. Is free will good if it leads to the destruction of everything? You know what I mean? This idea of controlling everything for the greater good. But that's a discussion for another time, which I am not equipped for. I don't have a degree or study philosophy. But yeah, I'd say episode 1 doesn't get enough love. You guys give it more love. But yeah, remember that scene where Miss Minutes was explaining everything in the first episode, that video reminiscent of Jurassic Park? There were no lies over there. If you think about it.
The timekeepers, but other than that, no lies.
Yeah, no lies. She did never lie to us. So yeah. And my last question for this Loki thing, I'm gonna pass it to Mel first. Where does this rank in the 3 MCU shows?
Love that. I am obviously incredibly equipped to answer this question, and I'll give you a really detailed answer.
Oh my god.
I've been watching way too much anime instead of the Marvel universe, so I have been
It's
out
okay.
of the Marvel universe for a bit.
Okay. I'm with
yeah.
Melissa. I've been watching a lot of anime.
So I'm gonna start us off. I'm gonna say WandaVision for me is still the best MCU show. I don't think WandaVision, this show had the greatest highs, but episode 3 really just brought a lot of it down, I think. But WandaVision was more consistent, and what I loved about WandaVision was you really get a nice, complete, full meal. I think a nice package about these character arcs for multiple people. Wanda dealing with the grief, it wrapped up really nicely. We got to see the MCU. See, the thing is with Falcon and Winter Soldier and Loki, it really feels like a long movie. But with WandaVision, I feel they use the medium of television in a really creative and imaginary way, pushing a lot of the boundaries. And also Catherine Hahn as Agatha Harkness is, a delight. So how about you, Fez? You've seen all 3.
I have.
Sorry, yeah. So in that case, it would be WandaVision, Loki, and and then Falcon and Winter Soldier.
I completely agree with you. That is exactly my same ranking. I felt like WandaVision brought something so unique that we've never seen before. It's such like a homage to sitcom TVs, and it's just so different from what Marvel usually produces. So I really love that a lot. I think the acting was really good. The storyline was so with Loki, it was inconsistent because of everyone's favorite episode 3. But with WandaVision, I was just so invested in all the episodes. And I love all the surprises they gave from like the Quicksilver, even though it was just for meta. I had like I had like a really, really good time. And I also just felt that WandaVision built up to something more, especially in the last episode and the 2 end credit scenes. So I'll give it that. The 2
It's all
end
about the end
credit
credits.
scenes. So I was really satisfied with that. Yeah, for me, Loki's second because I love Loki and I think Tom Hiddleston really gave it his all, and he is the star of the show, and I love him. And just generally the storyline character though was fine. Falcon and Winter Soldier, I recognize that it's a good show, but I'm not like obsessed with it because I don't care about them. I used to care about them back when Civil War was just released. I actually was a Bucky and Falcon stan.
Yeah.
I love the friendship.
can see
I
it.
would want a lot of Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan interviews. The chemistry was good, I have to say, but not my favorite, if that makes sense.
I'll say the first 2 episodes started out a bit slow. It didn't get off to the strongest start. But once it picked up, especially this part with John Walker and the Shield, that
oh my
that
gosh.
high was incredibly amazing. But yeah, the ending also kind of stumbled a bit. Harley Morgenthau, yeah, not the strongest villain, but yeah. How about you, Jang?
I think I like Loki the best. Like despite episode 3. Like because it has it's so no the problem I had with WandaVision is that I want to know, but they don't tell me. They just
I
keep
remember
doing
you
sitcom,
saying that.
sitcom.
Oh
And then
my
I'm
God, I
just sitting there
remember.
watching like I don't care. Tell me what's happening. So that really was annoying me. By the end, like we got the reveal and everything, and I was like, okay. But then like every week at the end of the episode, I'm just like, you gave me nothing. I still don't know what's going on. And then I'll just be triggered. And if I rewatch Loki, I'll just skip episode 3 just to make life good. And then like I would rewatch Loki. With WandaVision, I would too, but I'll skip the first few episodes because I don't get anything. And then Falcon and Winter Soldier, the action was good, story was good, like Fezz said, but the whole story was quite meaningless. Like how Momo said in the
Yeah. Oh my God.
yeah, in the end it's just he takes the shield. So like it's really meaningless. So yeah, so definitely Loki, WandaVision, Falcon. Yeah.
I feel the same way. Yep.
I know, right?
Same.
I just want to add from Jang's point about Falcon Winter Soldier. I completely agree. It's an ordinary, like it's kind of typical of what Marvel would produce, like a villain or organization which the 2 lads have to destroy or like bring down, which I felt was so typical compared to like Loki and WandaVision, which was so different, which is why I like them more. That doesn't mean, Falcon Winter Soldier was still fine, but I felt like WandaVision and Loki brought something unique. And Falcon and Winter Soldier just felt the villain was so weak. I felt like the villains for WandaVision and Loki was so much better than Winter Soldier and Falcon. Yeah.
How do you smash a flag?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
But I just slightly disagree with you. I don't think you guys are giving Falcon and the Soldier that much credit. I thought the exploration of Reap, I guess, with Bucky was done extremely well, and Sam Wilson's journey just giving him that much more depth, especially what it means to be a black man in America, dealing with carrying the stars and stripes that, has a history behind it. I thought that was done extremely well. But I agree with all of you.
We're not
The
saying that
villain,
it's
the villains that brought it all down. Yeah.
No, we're not saying that
Oh, John
Falcon and
Walker.
Winter Soldier is bad. It's definitely not a bad show. Like it's good, but it's just compared to Loki and WandaVision, I rather watch them. Like, yeah, it's definitely not. It's not a bad show.
It's not bad. Right, yeah. I'd
Have
say
to put that disclaimer out there before we get cancelled.
for me it'd be like a 9.5 WandaVision, 9 Loki, and I give Falcon an 8.5 out of 10. I give things a lot of high scores. But yeah, I guess with that we've wrapped up.
I
season
have a
1.
few things to say though.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
go ahead.
Okay. I'm gonna go as fast. Okay, two statements. Okay, one is
Wow.
okay. One is Kang. He was saying that he weaponized Goliath,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
So he actually got a liar to eat all the other Kangs. So lol. And then the timeline is a circle. So to me, I don't know whether this is right, but it means that the Big Bang, at the start of the universe, the Big Bang happens, and then the whole
Yeah.
universe, and then at the end of when you come back around, the whole universe just collapses on itself again, and then it explodes again, and then it's just so they're saying that
Interesting.
it happens over and over again. So that's cool. Okay, and then
Oh.
the rest are questions like, okay, why did the timeline start branching while Sylvie and Loki were fighting? Because like, wouldn't it start branching when you kill Kang? Like that's
I
that's
thought it.
one question.
Oh, I thought it started branching after Kang was killed.
No, but remember he was like, oh,
Yeah.
shit, you guys, it started branching. Remember he
Oh
was like that.
yeah.
Yeah, so
Maybe
like,
because the TVA they stopped pruning a bunch of people for a while. I guess
Ah.
that could be it.
Oh, I mean, Kang did say something about how they just crossed the threshold or something, and then like everything from
yes.
then on is like unpredictable. He didn't write it, so I guess there's something about the fact where Loki and Sylvie, if they come make like a connection or they get together or something, it just ends up being like a Nexus event anyway. So it's not like something that should have happened. I don't know, and then it just started branching. Hence, yeah, perhaps.
cool. Oh. Okay, then another question is, why didn't Mobius recognize Loki? Like,
Oh, we didn't even cover that.
We didn't even cover that. I
Oh.
wrote it down, like I had that highlighted, and I completely missed that. But that was alarming.
That was sad.
But yeah,
that was a lot.
I just assumed that another Kang came. It doesn't make sense for the multiple TVAs to exist. There's only one TVA for all time, always. So I think with Kang's death, another Kang
Yeah.
came up with the power vacuum and reset the whole timeline because time is not linear in that sense. So a Kang
Perhaps,
had
yeah.
already come and conquered the TVA. Huh.
Loki's in a bit of a pickle.
Also the time.
Yeah,
But wait,
and-
the timeline just reset, I guess. That's about it.
Yeah, because he reset it, the workers like Mobius and B Hunter 15, they forgot that they know that they're variants. So they think that they're working for the TVA. So they will have to like go through the whole discovery of they were
Oh my
actually
God.
variants from Earth
Yeah.
again, right?
Why is there a statue of Kang? But I think Momo answered it like probably the real Kang, the Kang that's the problem, the big villain. Probably after the other Kang died, then he was just like, okay, he's dead, let's go. And then he went into the TVA and then he wiped everyone's memories and then he put up his own statue. And because time works differently in the TVA, so for us it was really quick. Loki just got pushed through the portal and then he came through. But probably it's been like, I don't know, like a day or a month or
It was
something.
always like that. It was always like that, perhaps. I don't know.
Yeah, and then final question I have is, where did Ramona go?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
A holiday. She's had enough.
Holiday. She's just like, okay,
I
see
don't
you.
know.
Back to school.
I don't think our Kang is. I don't think our Kang is as nice as he presents himself to be. Miss
Yep.
Kang sent Miss Minutes to go tell Ravonna. So I think the Kang that we met is on a journey of self-preservation, reincarnation, as he calls it. So I think Ravonna is off on that journey to bring back the Kang that we met in this one. That's what I think, anyway.
She's supposed to be his right hand person, like, and
I think
lover.
they get it
so-
on in the comics, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be
Yeah, lovers.
surprised. But
Wait.
I think like Momo, you were completely right. Like from the last episode, that Miss Minutes would be linked to the big man.
I thought it'd be someone else, and then we get. I didn't expect them to set up Kang in this episode. I didn't expect him to be the main villain. But
Yeah. She was creepy this episode. Like it really came across. Yeah, that scared me. It was just like Conjuring jump scare level.
That was
Yeah.
a good jump scare.
Oh my
As I
God,
said,
yeah.
well directed.
Yeah.
I just want to say quickly before we end our podcast that I just want to give a massive, massive shout out to the females behind the scenes of Loki. So I just want to give their names really quickly. We already mentioned Natalie Hall as the composer, Kate Herron as the director and producer, cinematographer Autumn Durrell, casting director Sarah Finn, and costume designer Christina Wada. I'm just so happy to see more females coming in and working behind the scenes of an amazing show like Loki. And I hope we get to see more females working behind the scenes and also more females on screen of Marvel too.
It's a
That's such a
really nice
beautiful
way
to wrap
note
that
to
up.
end
Yeah.
on. Yeah, it's a beautiful
Yeah.
note to end on, actually. Yeah.
Thanks for
That's
that.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And unlike Black Widow,
Oh, okay. So, guys, when you're listening to this, the Black Widow special episode will be out after this episode. And we talked a lot about how feminism was really well portrayed in the movie, etc., especially with Antonia. actually the stunt person was not a woman.
Mm.
So that kind of took it off a little bit, I guess.
We're all minusing 0.5 from our scores as a result. So yes,
Yeah,
Yes, we are.
please note the adjustment. So I guess with that, we should wrap it up. Thank you all for joining us on this journey as we talked about the 6 episodes of Loki. Good stuff all around. Please do rate, review us on iTunes, and hopefully we'll be back sooner rather than later because I have some thoughts about Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, unless anyone wants to hear about that. Me too. Oh, and I hear Jang. I've been dealing with this little shit for the last 1.5 years. Oh my
too.
god, I've had enough.
This is a really long way to go, but like, do look forward to season 2 of Loki.
2023.
Yeah, see you guys.
2023. Yeah, so we'll see you guys then. Do keep up to date with our podcast. We'll have a lot of other different things as well to discuss about because we're geeks and we just like to geek out, and that's, you know, essentially our idea of having a fun time. And I love that. Yeah, like what Momo said, thank you so much for listening to our discussions about Loki, and we hope you enjoyed it. It was really fun for us. And do share us on your socials as well.
Thank
For
you
all
guys.
time, always.
For all time, always.
Oh, yes.
We all say that in unison on the count of 3.
All right,
1,
yes.
2, 3. For all
For
time.
all time,
always.
always.